cool on Friday than I am now today, because we had to take some decisions a couple of weeks ago. Which chassis will be the chassis for Valencia, and from Valencia, which engine specification, and so many details on the bike, and yeah, we couldn't prove it while we had to decide. So you need really strong people. Like, I'm really happy for the engineers we have at home, Kurt Trieb, our technical director there, and then here in the garage, Mike and Sebastian. Like, we had really the strong guys to take decisions, even if it was not proven on paper. Yeah, all that came together in Valencia, and we had a result, and that was really fantastic.
I've heard, I would like to hear it from you if it's correct or not, or if we're on the right path. I've heard comments that the new riders on your bikes that have come off Yamaha are very impressed with the engine, but they still need, which is impressive by itself, you know, to be stronger than a satellite Yamaha. But they're talking about corner entry or turning some feeling from the front. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's basically the two main topics from yesterday. What they said, very impressed by the engine, and I'm just repeating you now. Corner entry was kind of difficult, so there it's a plan today to hopefully we can finish the day and give them the feeling what they need. It's definitely clear they both had the same bike, the same feeling, and exactly the same point is disturbing them to put the bike down after releasing the brake. And yeah, but we have some good tools for today to fix that, to go against that, because Paul, he wants the bike like this. But I think his riding style, how he's just leaning over and taking the whole bike with him down, there is a lot of dynamic in Paul's maneuver when he's doing that. But yeah, Johan is riding, his style is different, so he wants the bike more easy to go down. And but lately Randy, while he was testing, he had basically the same requests, and we made him very happy with the steps we did. So I hope we get a nice window today of riding time. Then we definitely want to send Johan home with a very good feeling, and also both guys in the satellite team. But that's the main point today where we want to work on.
I'm curious, the way that you're going to, change. Sorry, we've got to get out of a motorcycle's way in the beginning of the garage. We're just moving so we can carry on talking. To do this, to try and get your riders happy, is it like a different chassis, or is it playing with geometry on the one you have already? And meaning Paul likes a different geometry than the other guys, or?
No, we can do that with normal geometry things you can do on a bike without changing the chassis. We will not start here to play with different chassis, because we worked a lot with chassis, believe me, and we are sure now we have a great base, and with the normal tools how to change the geometry for our bike, I'm sure we can fulfill all the requests for today. And that's very important now, not to start with Johan the same road like Paul and Bradley had to go, with too many parts and too many technical informations in their head. I think it's very important to give Johan now the chance to ride the bike and command the bike without putting the bike in pieces immediately. Yeah, because we want to get out of that corner and give a little bit more stability for the technical development also.
Just before I let you go, can you give us a rundown on what your plans are from here for the next tests? What kind of your schedule is? I know where you're going to test, but what your aims are.
Yeah, I mean, it's now there is still a full truck of different parts, but like I just mentioned, we want to get more quiet now and not make crazy steps. So we hope to find a really good base with Johan quickly, but then for any question he has, I hope we have an option in the truck. So but if you develop so quick and crazy like we did in the last weeks, and we had a huge target in the whole 2 years. We always said by Valencia 2018 we need to go to the second part of the project and be here with new bikes and the latest level what we have. And if you work 2 years day and night and you bring everything on track for that date, you don't have 100 good ideas for the next morning. So now it's time to bring everything on the track what we produced in the last weeks, and now we need riding time and adapt Johan to the bike and the crew and the team, but not to forget also Paul, if he's now so fit and the bike is working good on that level. Maybe with very small things now we can even improve a little bit more. Yeah, it's a different situation. If I look back now 2 years ago, we started the project and we had to start without Paul because he was not allowed by his Yamaha contract to start with us, and we had a Bradley completely injured with his leg. And now looking now into this garage, you have two super fit, two super strong riders sitting there. By the way, not to forget, we have now 2 podium guys in the KTM garage. Not dreaming of, like on paper already. I'm super happy and super proud. And also 2 more guys in the Tech 3 garage. So that's for me like a power force like we never had it, and we will collect a lot of input from all these guys, and I'm sure the project gets more dynamic now, and soon the arrival of Danny. Also Mika is almost ready to hit the bike again. I think we are on a good way, yeah, to make stronger steps and better steps in the future. And if you do now something with one of the 4 riders or even one of the 6 riders, you are not distracting maybe the fastest one in the garage all the time. So we really try to keep the top guys, yeah, more quiet and not to fill them with too many technical material.
Pete, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you guys, and have a good day, and I hope we're gonna still see some nice laps today. Exciting for everybody, and still exciting for me to be like the rookie in this pit lane of MotoGP. Yeah, to be here and representing such a huge project. So also a moment to thank at home KTM factory and all our board members, because I promised them 2 years ago I don't want to lead them into a crazy adventure. I said we have a plan how to do it, and at the moment it's already like a thing where we can look back a little bit what we have done, and yeah, I think you all agree we didn't do stupid and crazy things. We're on a good way, and so it's a nice moment for me in the whole project. Thank you guys.
Good luck from here.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks to Pit Byros for talking there to Simon Crafart. Of course, he does now have 2 riders, as he rightly mentioned, that have podiums. They've had a taste of that podium success. They've not yet had race wins, Pol Espargaro or Johan Zarco, but they'll be looking for that to change soon. Zarco has completed his first run. He's come into pit lane, a 33.3, his fastest time. In comparison to yesterday, it's about half a second off where he was. Andrea Iannone, who he was just showing the circuit with a moment ago, is also out there. The Yamaha test rider, Jonas Folger, has gone out as well. And now it's Miller time also. Jack Miller, the Australian, technical problems at the end of yesterday, but he's back out on circuit. It will be interesting to know actually what the whole programme is with Jonas Folger. Now they've got this European test team, Matt. I mean, I've got no idea what he's got underneath that bike at the moment, but with them obviously trying different things, they'll be throwing all sorts at Jonas Folger. And they've got effectively a whole new team. I mean, it's called a European test team. There'll be some new faces in that garage as well. Yeah, Valentino Rossi was again impressed with Jonas Folger. We know that he pushed for the German to be the figurehead of that new Yamaha European-based test team. And he said Folger is a guy that can push the bike to its limit, and more importantly, he's been impressed with the feedback that the German's been able to offer as well. So he will be a useful ally for Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi next year, as Andrea Iannone drops down into this tricky downhill left-hander, turn 14, the final corner. Only did 15 laps yesterday. An initial little check out on the Aprilia RSGP. I'm sure he's going to be putting in a bit of a longer stint today, Andrea Iannone. Happy Cyrene just looking on. Still in his civvies. He's not expressing any great interest to get out there at the moment. Happy Cyrene was
24th yesterday, almost 3 seconds off the best pace, although of course it's his first taste of the KTM RC16 yesterday.
Johann Zarco then feeding back what will be such crucial feedback on what he thinks of this KTM through all the corners. Marcus Eschenbacher there on the left, just taking notes down from the Frenchman as this new relationship starts to blossom. Andrea Iannoni's putting the Aprilia through its paces. He's got Jack Miller just up ahead of him on circuit, and he's up in Sector 1 on Zarco's time.
Johann Zarco said one of the coolest things about yesterday was not the fact that he got to ride a brand new motorcycle. He just said that it was his first experience, of course, of being in a fully fledged factory team in the MotoGP World Championship, and he said it was really, really nice when he was coming back to his seat and he couldn't see any daylight basically because there was just a swarm, an army of KTM engineers, WP suspension technicians as well. So he said, I'm not going to be lacking support to try and take this KTM to the front, that's for sure.
Well, no, and that's an important point, isn't it? You know, he's, with the greatest respect to Zarco and the Tech 3 team, they've not been the priority for you know, that team. Yamaha looked to Valentino Rossi and Maverick Vinales, and the hand-me-down last year bikes were the bikes that Johann Zarco raced. Now it's a completely different scenario. Pol Espargaro and Johann Zarco have the full attention of everybody in orange in KTM as they look to now move forward.
And what they know as well, Steve, certainly Pol Espargaro knows for the last couple of years the difference between being an independent team rider and a full factory rider. As Johann Zarco's about to find out, Pit Barrow just said there, our truck is rammed full. We've got no space on the trucks because it's full of brand new parts that we need evaluating. You know, Johann Zarco would not be accustomed to getting too many goodies rolling out the back of the Yamaha trucks, that's for sure. It's almost run what you brung in when you're an independent team rider at Yamaha.
Yeah, that KTM truck, and when we say it's packed full of new bits, we mean it's packed full of new bits. I mean, that would be Santa's best ever sleigh, that would. There's some right presents on there.
It was last year, it must have been last year, when actually this man, the perfect timing, Pol Espargaro had just come from a test in Aragon, and I had to do an interview with him for Dorna, and I just said, oh, how did the Aragon test go? And he just showed me like a short video clip on his mobile phone, and I've never seen a garage full, chock to the block full of new parts. There must have been 7 or 8 different fairings, a stack load of chassis, a whole bunch of swing arms. And Paul said, you know, it's almost overwhelming because you walk into the box and you go, crikey, right, have I got to go out there and do laps on all this stuff? Like Hervé Poncharal said, everything's in place at Red Bull KTM to win. The financial clout is there with your title sponsor being Red Bull. KTM are determined to convert their dominance in the off-road sector into road racing. They want to become a real superpower in the road racing world as well. Well, they're well on their way in Moto3 and Moto2.
Well, it should be pointed out, not just a boost for the team and the riders, that podium on Sunday, but for KTM and Red Bull, Matt, because there's a hell of a lot of money being put into this project. And okay, Red Bull seems to be like an endless pit of money, but at the same time, if it was to continue year after year after year without any podiums, there would come a time where someone would say, okay, we've had our fun.
Yeah.
So that podium really does give a huge boost to them as well. It makes them even more committed to supply what they can to get the job done.
Yeah, we've shown you the money. Start showing us some silverware. That's what the questions will be inevitably asked. Jack Miller then, who, a bit like Andrea Iannoni, didn't get to do the amount of laps he was expecting to yesterday, Miller, on that brand new Ducati GP19, the short stint he had out there on the new bike. Well, he instantly fell in love. It was love at first sight for Miller and that GP19. Could not find fault with any aspect of that brand new motorcycle.
Andrea Iannoni here on the Aprilia is about to put in his fastest time of the test so far. The times you're looking at on your screen are just from today. Fastest time from yesterday, Vinales, was a 31.4, but Andrea Iannoni didn't get into the 32s yesterday. He has now 32.9. That's 4 tenths quicker than he went yesterday. So if there were still a few just standing on pit wall thinking, oh, I'm still not quite sure about this, the time to move is now, and that's enough for Danilo Petrucci, factory Ducati rider has seen all he needs to see. It's time to roll out the red machine.
He said it was difficult yesterday for Petrucci to really draw any serious conclusions about the difference between the GP18 he's campaigned this year and the GP19 that's rolled fresh off the production line out of Borgo Panigale on the outskirts of Bologna in Italy. He said it didn't feel so different, but it's hard to make any kind of serious assessment. As we said, he only did 2 runs yesterday on the GP19. He said the positive point is there are no real negative points that he could obviously tell. And of course it was a massive day yesterday for Petrucci. Wasn't that long ago where he almost gave up on his MotoGP dream on that Ioda ART inspired Aprilia. I mean, it was effectively going Grand Prix racing on what was a souped up road bike really, and he almost gave up before he's picked up by the Almapanic Ducati team. He said it was an enormous sense of pride yesterday when he jumped on that GP19. He put on those red and white leathers of the factory Ducati team. He said it wasn't that long ago. He cast his mind back to when he was a test rider for Ducati Superstock projects, a test rider really for their production bike range, and there he was now, a factory rider in Ducati. So huge congratulations to Danilo Petrucci for all the hard work and effort he's putting in. Although he did say with a factory ride comes great responsibility and great pressure. He said, I've got no excuses next year. There is no hiding place when you're in a factory team. It's time to stand and deliver.
Yeah, Danilo Petrucci in 2011, when he finished as the runner-up in the Superstock Cup, there were no takers in World Superbike at that time. Nobody interested. Look how things have changed now for Petrucci. What an enormous opportunity he's got. As Polo Spargaro goes quickest then on the KTM with a 32.7. It's not his fastest time of the weekend so far. He went 6/10 quicker than that yesterday, but conditions here starting to improve in Valencia. As yesterday, we will be off air just for an hour to take on board some lunch at 2 o'clock local time. So we've got just under an hour and a half left with you. We'll take an hour's break and then we'll be back from local time 3 till 5 to bring you the conclusion of this one. Keep your questions rolling in on #TechTalk. We might have an opportunity to do that a bit later. And any questions you have for Matt Burt at Bertie MotoGP, or for myself at Steve Day on Twitter, and we'll have a look through them.
Yeah, Jack Miller, this will be where he'll be winding up the power and using that seamless shift gearbox on that factory Ducati. He said that one of the real impressive points of the new GP19 was the upgrade in the seamless shift gearbox. It seems like there's a different spec gearbox between the full factory Ducati bikes or the latest spec models and some of the independent team riders, because Jack Miller just was like absolutely raving about the smoothness of the gearbox, how it made the bike much easier to ride. And he said it's around these tight infield sections where the Ducati, or the new Ducati, the GP19, felt a lot more manoeuvrable, more agile. He could flick it around and put it where he wanted to. He wasn't having to fight the bike as much as he was on the GP17, which was still back in the day a good motorcycle, the GP17, but it was still a bike that understeered. As soon as you got in that mid corner, it did tend to run wide off brake.
Another fastest lap there from Polo Spargaro, 32.6. That's his crew chief, Paul Trevathan, looking on. We've just had one question on Twitter, Matt. And I think I know the answer, but I might need your help. Will Jonas Folger be doing any wildcards? I don't believe there's a plan at the moment for any wildcards. I think it's purely on a test basis. Is that right?
As far as I'm aware, yeah. Purely hired at this stage to be the test and development rider, Jonas Folger. I don't think he's expressed any great interest to return to full competitive race action at any stage next year. I guess that could all change, of course.
That was a tweet from Ian Daniels. Thanks for that. Yes, of course, there was that. Was it Gilbert syndrome he was diagnosed with, Jonas Folger? So, which is a liver disorder, which can really, really badly affect you with abdominal pain, weakness, and tired, etc. as well. Mentally, I don't think things were quite right either. So, Jonas Folger, it'd be great to see him racing one day, but at the moment, that's not really the plan.
Yeah, no, his priority will be trying to make sure that Valentino Rossi, Maverick Vinales are fighting for the podiums like they were towards the back end of the season. Of course, it was a strong end to a bitterly frustrating year for Yamaha, with Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi fighting so strong for the podium in that inaugural brilliant first visit to Buriram in Thailand. 100,000 fans flocking to that brilliant circuit, 400 kilometres northeast of Bangkok. Fantastic first experience for all concerned in MotoGP in Thailand. Of course, they were then fighting for the podium in Australia. The pair of the Maverick Vinales, of course, taking a famous victory for Yamaha in Phillip Island, and then Rossi leading for so long in Malaysia and also leading in the wet here in Valencia on Sunday before, unfortunately, he crashed out of both. Simon, back to you in pit lane.
Yes, I'm with Tito Rabat. Tito, you're a brave man getting back on that bike. In the condition you're in, you're still getting around on crutches, and I know it was a horrific ordeal you had to go through. Can you tell us what it was like getting back on the bike after all that time?
Yes, yesterday I was super happy because I don't expect when I start to ride with the bike and I can go comfortable. And of course still I don't have power on the leg, but I can start to ride to have the good MotoGP sensations, and every time a little bit better. But anyway, I was so happy yesterday, and now these tests are for go slow, just take the rhythm, and the important will be in February in Malaysia. For the moment now, just enjoy, make the leg stronger, and don't, try to practice as much as possible.
Can you feel the differences with the later model machine you're riding from the one you rode before?
Yes, to be honest, yesterday I don't expect also to make 32, and very easy. I go very easy, and the lap time comes. I feel what I like is the front feeling. No, this bike have much better front feeling than last year bike. Turns better, and after I don't know, because to be honest, we don't change nothing. We just go and just 30 laps is not for start to rain, and not too much laps for try things. But today more information if they get a little bit hotter.
Good luck, Tito.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Fantastic to hear from the 2014 Moto2 World Champion. Fantastic to see him back on a MotoGP. 7.9 was the best we saw from Espargaro in the 35 laps he managed yesterday before the rain further disrupted proceedings. Low 132 that time around, so 132.016, so he's edging ever closer. In fact, that is now his fastest lap of the weekend, of course. Yeah, just a marked fraction quicker than what he managed yesterday. So 6 riders then so far have set lap times. Jorge Lorenzo, then he ventures out. That will be, of course, the 1.5 seconds off of the best pace set by Maverick Vinales.
As you can imagine, Jorge Lorenzo, one of the riders who still is contracted to Ducati, so the thoughts of Jorge in full we will not get. We won't really be able to find out exactly what Jorge Lorenzo thinks of that Honda until perhaps we get out into 2009. Looks like he's got a very slightly different seating position here.
Friday practice, didn't even bother coming to Phillip Island. Withdrew eventually in Sepang. Pointless being there, trying to ride inside the top 15 when he just was way off the pace. 5 seconds he was adrift in one practice session. So it's been a pretty painful conclusion to his Ducati experience for Lorenzo. Petrucci wastes no time in getting down into the 131s. 131.940 then from the Italian.
Yeah, that's his fastest lap. Jorge Lorenzo knows well.
Yeah, that may well be actually one of Jorge Lorenzo's old machines that Pecco Bagnaia is currently circulating on. A few GP18s just moved across to the respective teams.
And with Jorge just taking it easy at the moment to get himself dialed in on the Honda, who would have thought we'd be saying that Lorenzo at the moment is just getting in Pecco Bagnaia's way. They're not words that you'd be expecting, as you could expect.
Side of Jorge Lorenzo in races next year, it means he's going to be doing a fantastic job, because you can bet your bottom dollar that Lorenzo is going to be fighting at the front once he gets his head around that Repsol on the machine. Simon?
Yes, I'm at the Ducati factory garage with Davide Tardozzi. Davide, can you give us an idea what your test program is for the day?
Yeah, we would like to investigate something on the frame. We have some solution on the frame with Danilo and
something else we're curious about. Can you give us an idea of what bikes went where? Like, meaning, has Pecco got Jorge's old bikes or something like that? Just for curiosity.
Yeah, Pecco started with a 18 bike beginning of the season with the old wings. We would like him to understand all the steps. He's a rookie, then he needs to understand many things about our bike. That's why we would like him to test even old things. Just
Davide Tardozzi there. Yeah.
Guys, I just want to tell you, I'd spotted that. Dovi's bikes were different. Like, there's different welding on the frame, and it's a frame that I've never seen before. And I was wondering if he was going to tell us, and he was straight up and said, yeah, they're trying frame stuff. So I think Davide is steering us in the right direction.
Thanks for that, Simon. Well, we'll have a little look out for that then.
Well, I'd imagine no surprise that the Ducati development direction. What are they trying to improve for next year? And I thought it was really interesting, actually, from Marc Marquez. He said, well, actually, it's very, very hard to improve on a package that's so strong and so competitive, but we're trying to work on the front end because we want to be able to use softer tyres. Very, very telling, of course, with Jorge Lorenzo coming over. We mentioned it yesterday, how much Lorenzo favours and prefers that soft tyre. A couple of times this year when Lorenzo had to race the medium, he was nowhere, and he blamed the medium front tyre in Misano for his late tumble when he was trying to hunt down Andrea Dovizioso. It was just too hard on the edge. We know how Lorenzo likes to carry lots of lean angle, how he trail brakes, and he's so smooth on that front end. So I thought that was quite interesting. Honda already working in a direction which I'm sure Jorge Lorenzo would be delighted to hear, because he does not like to run that medium or hard front tyre.
Well, no, and you know, it's clever in so many ways. They know that Jorge will want to work in that direction himself, but it in turn helps Marc Marquez, who more often than not, his moments and crashes are front end.
Well, it was interesting last year, 2017, Marc Marquez raced Andrea Dovizioso so closely, so many times, that the Ducati was always able to use softer rear tyres as well in general, and the Ducati, one of its key advantages over the Marquez-Honda combination in 2017 was it managed that rear tyre absolutely brilliantly. Ducati have always, for quite a number of years, used a carbon fibre swing arm, and Marc Marquez, I'm sure, felt like, when feeding back information when he was racing at close quarters with the Ducati, well, maybe it's their carbon fibre swing arm that gives them that better grip towards the end of the races. It's giving them better durability. Hey presto, what turns up at the Valencia test here 1 year ago? A carbon fibre swing arm for the Honda boys. And Marc Marquez, I think he was saying a couple of races ago in Malaysia, Steve, he did not even use the aluminium swing arm from Assen onwards. He kept switching back and forth in the early part of the season. It took him a little bit of a while to be, I think, convinced about the true benefits, but once he was, from Assen onwards, there was no debate. It was carbon all the way.
Well, you could see there Jorge Lorenzo then on that carbon swing arm. Here's Takaki Nakagami, of course, the aluminium swing arm for him. He's just gone across the line in 10th, and here comes Miguel Oliveira for the first time. Spoke to Simon Crafar earlier, and as we said, very clever young man, Miguel Oliveira. I'm sure he's been looking forward to this, getting ready to analyse what sort of weight work he needs to do in the winter. I'd imagine all of the Moto2 riders will realise quite quickly that this is an exhausting experience, trying to wrestle around these powerhouses around circuits.
Yeah, one of the lines I really liked from Miguel Oliveira last night when he was talking to some of the gathered media. Crikey.
Goodness me.
I thought he was going over the handlebars there.
Oh, I thought that. I mean, that's out of pit lane as well. The brakes work.
Well, he knows. He was talking about the stopping power of a carbon brake disc. I literally thought he was going over the handlebars there.
Well, you know, that is a technique that Miguel Oliveira uses on an outlap on a Moto2 bike, and so he's just given that a bit too much welly.
Well, what would have been, he'd have been told, because it's so cold, that the KTM guys would have said to him, you've got to pump that front brake on your outlap to get the temperature in the tyres.
Guys, I didn't see it because I just whipped off to the toilet. They replay it. But what happens when I first got on the carbon brakes is that you pull the lever and then you've forgotten, because you haven't got enough temperature, you pull it and nothing happens. And you squeeze harder, then it gets up to temperature and wham, they're working. So you've got too much, you know. So basically you've got to ride out, go dab, 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 and get some heat in, and then they work. But if you pull them cold, it's like I've said to you guys before, it's like having your lever welded to the handlebar, but it's connected to nothing. It literally feels like that because there is zero stopping power. As soon as there's some heat build up, awesome stopping power.
Well, that'll learn him. Blimey, he won't do that one again, will he?
Well, the Tech 3 team there were all looking on, I think mighty relieved, because they could have quite easily been fixing a broken bike after that. A scary moment for Miguel Oliveira.
Best stoppie I've seen for a while, though.
The great thing about that is he'll never do that
he won't
again.
do that again. No, you live and learn, don't you? I was just about to say, actually, one of the nicer comments I heard from Miguel Oliveira while he was talking to the media gathered here in Valencia was that he showed a lot of faith in KTM by joining their Moto2 project. That KTM Moto2 chassis was completely brand new when they came into Moto2 in 2017. They took on Kalex, who were the dominant force in terms of chassis manufacturers in the Moto2 World Championship. And he said, it took a lot of trust and faith in me to be convinced to go and join them in Moto2. And he said, now, thankfully, after a good couple of years with Red Bull KTM in the Intermediate World Championship, they're now putting the trust back in me and moving me up into the MotoGP World Championship next year.
Taki Nakagami's got straight up to speed. That's a 32.7 from him. That's only a couple of tenths shy of what he managed yesterday. Just coming up for almost 1 o'clock local time, so we'll be on air again with you for the next hour. Then we'll take a short break and be back for the final 2 hours as well, as Marc Marquez is out there then in one of his 2019 machines. And already straight down to business is Marquez.
Yeah, the track time was heavily curtailed yesterday by the weather, but when the track was dry and warm enough for the riders to go out there, Marc Marquez had to limit his time on the circuit because of that weak left shoulder. Of course, he doesn't want to do any more damage. Another crucial 2-day test coming up for him next week in Jerez as well. Here's one of the men, we briefly saw Franco Morbidelli there. One of the most eye-catching performances of day one of 2019. Pre-season testing yesterday with Morbidelli in 6th place. As we mentioned earlier, it seemed like he was out on a kind of hybrid bike, a Johann Zarco 2017 spec chassis with a 2018 Valentino Rossi engine. He said his riding style, which was always naturally smooth, he had to get a little bit more aggressive when he was on that 100 to muscle that RC213V around. He said, straight away I could feel I'm going to have to go back to my more natural riding style. This Yamaha demands a lot more finesse than the Honda. And he said this was not intentional either. He got behind Valentino Rossi for a couple of laps, and then Valentino Rossi got behind him as well. And he said when he was behind Rossi and on board the Yamaha, he said the bike was everything that Valentino told him it was going to be. There was no surprises for Franco Morbidelli. It was the beast he was expecting.
Well, Marc Marquez has only completed 2 laps. He's gone to 3rd, and he's up by almost 4 tenths in Sector 1 on this 2019 spec Honda. He's having some fun out there, and he's almost half a second up here. There is a chance that we could see the fastest lap of the test coming.
Well, nice to see him breaking himself in gently then, Marquez. I mean, this is just his 2nd flying lap. This is lap 3 of the day here for Marc Marquez, and he's already up by almost half a second in the first 2 splits. Danilo Petrucci's 1:31.944. Well, that's going to get absolutely smashed out of the park here. Marc Marquez.
Well, another couple of tenths made in this final sector, and we could actually be into the 130s.
Just lighting up the rear tyre, spinning it up, coming through that famous turn 13. Now, Marc Marquez if he has picked up that couple of tenths like Steve said. Let's track him over the line there. Marquez goes down to a 1:31.068. He's almost 9/10 of a second faster than Petrucci, and by 4/10 of a second it's the fastest lap of the test so far, and that's his third lap of the day.
Okay.
2019 Honda works pretty well.
Yeah, we're not hanging about here, and he's on another flying lap as we speak. Franco Morbidelli's improved again, impressive as he was yesterday. He's up into 4th place, but well, the man who was fastest yesterday has said, okay, I've seen enough of this, my go. He's coming out of pit lane now. That is a pretty impressive lap time from Marc Marquez at this stage, into sector 2, 10th off.
It's not like he's out there, is it, either, Steve? On soft rubber, he's got the medium front, medium rear tyre on. The plain black Michelin rubber as Franco Morbidelli comes out of the final corner on the Petronas Yamaha SRT machine. 4th place for Morbidelli, a 1:32.100. When Valentino Rossi had a quick look behind his protege yesterday, a couple of laps Rossi spent on the coattails of Franco Morbidelli, he said he just looked so comfortable. He looked so at ease. He wasn't fighting the bike like he was doing so often at Honda, and Rossi said he could tell straight away, psychologically, on day 1 of the winter testing, Morbidelli got a big boost. You know, he says immediately when you get on a more competitive bike, it's just a massive mental jolt.
Well, we got one of the Twitter questions come through actually about Morbidelli. Do we think Franco Morbidelli can fight for podiums next year? I think that we're probably in agreement in this commentary box. Absolutely, he can contend for podiums next year. It's not going to be easy because there's a lot of competition for podium positions, but he's got the bike under him.
I think without any shadow of a doubt he's going to be fighting for podiums. Johann Zarco was able to do it, Steve. Next year we know that Franco Morbidelli, his motorcycle, his M1, is going to be starting the year in the same spec as Rossi and Vinales. So for me, right from the get-go next season, I think Franco Morbidelli will be eyeing the big prizes next year. Marquez is on another hot lap here. He's just come through the second sector up by almost 1/10 of a second on his own previous best. We're tracking on this tight, tricky infield section. This is through turn 10. Then it slows down for this tight right-hander, turn 11. Then he'll fire it up towards turn 12, but caught out so many rides in the rain conditions last weekend. This is where Valentino Rossi crashed out of 2nd place in the second leg of the Valencia Grand Prix. A few dark clouds gathering ahead again, aren't they, in Valencia? Let's hope they don't start chucking any rain down. And then this downhill turn 14. Marc Marquez then, an 85km/h final corner. He's going to come over the line very, very shortly. Has he improved again? He has. It's a 1:31.019. So Marquez now almost a full second clear of Petrucci in 2nd place. I think he loves that 2019 factory Honda. Simon.
Yes, I'm with Massimo Merigali. Massimo, can you give us a bit of a rundown on what the plan is for Valentino and Maverick today?
Yeah, basically, go ride the same plan. Yesterday we test, let's call the first engine evaluation. Now we have the second one that will be compared with the first one. So to understand which one is better. So then they will keep working for the future.
So if I understand correctly, you have the engine, the newer engine from yesterday in one bike, and the other bike has the next step in it. You do not have the 2018 engine in any bikes today.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Basically, yesterday they prefer the, let's call the Evolution engine, and this one is based on that with something different.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Simon, I don't know if you'd be able to ask Massimo Merigali about what the actual programme is for Folger as well, what bike he's on. That would be quite interesting to know, European test team rider.
The reason I didn't ask it is Johan Folger told me, when was it? Yesterday I was speaking to him, he said this test is more for him. They're not going to test anything because they just want himself to get up to speed being back on a MotoGP bike before he tries any comparisons. But I'll confirm that again with Massimo Merigali now.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that. Well, he's 7th at the moment. I don't think he's far off the pace.
Franco Morbidelli's got himself inside the top 3. he couldn't help himself yesterday, Morbidelli. He said, hey, look, I know it's only the first day of testing, but boy, was it good to see myself inside the top 6 on the timesheets. When he would have got back to the motorhome last night with that A4 sheet of paper and seen Franco Morbidelli 21, P6, hell of a lot better than looking for yourself outside the top 15 than he's done for most of this year in races on that Esquela Galicia Honda.
There's good news further down the order as well. The two Tech 3 riders have improved their lap times. Hafiz Sayari has got himself down to a 33.5. That's 7/10 quicker, and Miguel Oliveira is over a second quicker already than he was yesterday. Simon?
Yeah, I asked Massimo what the program was for Jonas, and he said